Welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time I'll be doing a full set on myself. So as you guys know, the last time I did my nails, I had the glow in the dark ombre nails underneath my polish. So I wanted to go ahead and do a fresh set. I removed my last set off, and I didn't get to record it just because that day I actually hurt a nail. So I was like in a rush to get them off because it was hurting so bad. But of course, whenever I remove my nails, I just cut them down, filed them down with the e-file to get a lot of the acrylic off. That way I wouldn't be soaking forever. And after that, I used this little bow, and this is actually, I don't know, I just got it from the kitchen. I didn't feel like doing each finger individually. So I just grabbed this little glass bow and I just filled it up with acetone, not all the way up, but just a little bit to where it covered all of my nails. And I just set them in there until all of the acrylic was soaked off. So it's been a couple of days since I soaked them off, and I have polish on them from me doing nails. So we're gonna get started. So as always, I'm gonna start off by pushing back my cuticles first. For that, I'm gonna be using my Tammy Taylor Peel and Stick cuticle pusher, and we're just gonna be pushing those cuticles back. Remember, this just exposes the new growth and then also helps with preventing lifting. So make sure that you always push back your cuticles. And then also, if like I don't have really bad cuticles, but of course if they have any, dead skin around the cuticle area, then be sure to nip it off. Alrighty, so once we have pushed the cuticles back, we're going to go ahead and remove the shine from the natural nail. So as always, I am using my 180 sanding band. So I'm going to go ahead and get the old one off and replace it with a new one. Okay, so that's a 180 sanding band. You don't want to use anything more coarse than a 180 because you will hurt your fingers. You're going to file too much. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it on, and I always use it at a very slow speed. And as always, I just start filing around the cuticle area. Just like that. I focus on that cuticle area first. Go from the right side over to the left side, right around that cuticle area. And then I also just file the rest of the nail. Again, make sure that when you're doing this, you have your e-file at a really low speed, because if not, you will overfile. And then that's when your nails are going to be like paper thin. Same thing for the rest. Again, just going around that cuticle area first. And you see how I'm going to turn my finger over, but I hold my file at a little bit of an angle, and then whenever I'm filing the rest of the nail, it's just flat on the nail. But when you're around the cuticle area, just lift your drill bit just a little bit, like at a 45-degree angle, and then again, just flat when you're filing the rest of the nail. And then also, a lot of the time when I'm filing the nails with this sanding band, I like to just go in and just file my free edge as well, because of course this is really the main reason why I always do a new set, is because I don't like my natural nail showing underneath the acrylic. And I know there's people that said I can always file it off, but usually I like to just go ahead and do a new set after maybe like a month or a little bit over actually. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and finish filing all of the nails, removing the shine, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alrighty, so same thing for this hand. I've already removed the shine from all of these fingers. So now we're going to do the same thing on this hand. And I'm going to try something a little bit different. I always use my e-file on forward. I just changed it to reverse to see if it helps with filing this hand. I know a lot of people always ask me if I use it, you know, on reverse when I'm doing my other hand. And no, I always use it on forward at all times. I never change it. Let me see. It feels a little bit weird. Okay, so I'm using the e-file on reverse, but I think I'm just used to using it on forward, so I'm gonna go ahead and change it. I see how it could be helpful to some people, but it's not working for me. It's taking me a little bit longer, so I went ahead and switched it back over to forward. Alrighty, so I finished removing the shine from all of my natural nails. So now I'm going to go ahead and just dust the nails off, and then we're going to start applying the nail tips. Alrighty, so I'm going to be using the clear nail tips just because I think I have something in mind of what I want to do, and it requires for me to use the clear nail tips. But just remember that when you're picking the tips, it kind of just depends on what you're getting. If you want something that's going to show through, you know, you actually want the clear look, then you would go for the clear tips. If your client just wants polish, you know, nothing fancy, no encapsulated nails, none of that, just polish, just go ahead and do the natural nail tips. So again, these are my clear nail tips, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply the nail tips. So when I'm doing this and I'm doing my left hand with my right hand, I always hold my hand like this, and first thing I do is just measure the nails. As you can see, this one fits from sidewall to sidewall, so it's the perfect size. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply the glue. As always, I'm using the KDS glue. I just apply right on the very tip of the nail, like right there. Flip the nail tip over and then just glue it right in the middle, making sure that I'm holding my finger super straight. Hold it down for a few seconds and you're good to go. So this glue actually dries like super fast, so you don't have to worry about sitting there holding it for hours. But anyways, I'm gonna continue to glue on the rest. Again, make sure that the nail tip fits from sidewall to sidewall. You don't want to be in like this. You don't want to be in like this either. You see how like it's touching my skin? Like it's definitely way too big, because if it's too small or too big, it will lift. And then like say that this one was too small and then this one was too big, always go with the bigger one and just file it down on the sides to make it fit perfectly. But this one was just right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just use this one. So again, just apply your glue, hold your finger, and just glue it down. Just like that. Okay, so this one for my thumb, this one is too big, which is a number 2, but the number 3 is too small. As you can see, it's like a little bit of my nail is hanging off on the side, but this one is touching my skin a little bit on the side on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to get my file and I'm just gonna gently file the side of the nail just a little bit. And I made it fit perfectly. So that's what you want to do if when you're applying your nails, one tip is too big and the other one's too small. Again, always go with the bigger one and just file it down on the side to make it fit perfectly, because if not, it is going to crack or lift eventually. Okay, so I have all of those on. So we're gonna do the same thing on the right hand. So again, just grab your nail tip, measure it, apply your glue, and place the nail right in the middle. And this hand, I guess I could hold it like this, but usually I kind of just do it like this. So whatever you feel more comfortable doing is fine. So again, I use my clear nail tips and I also use my KDS glue, which looks like this. So we're gonna go ahead and put this up. And then now I'm gonna go in with my tip cutter to trim down the nails, because of course I'm not gonna leave them this long. So I'm gonna do like a medium length. Let's see, this too long. Maybe like right there. And I'm just cutting straight. You see how I'm cutting like just straight up? You don't want to cut like this or like this, because depending on how you cut it, it's going to give you a different shape. So if you want to just straight across, then you just cut literally straight up. Just like that. Alright, so after I trim them down, I'm going to go in and measure them against each other. As you can see, my right thumb is longer than my left, so I'm just going to go in and trim it down just a little bit. Okay, so after we trim them down, I'm just gonna go in. Usually I would trim the sides of my nails as well, which I might just go ahead and do. And for that, I use a straight edge nail clipper. Make sure that it is straight. I'm going to show you the difference between a straight and a curved one. See, this is a straight, this is a curved one. As you can see, this one is just straight across and this one actually curves. So this one would be good for toenails or just natural nails. And then this one is good when I'm trimming down the sides of the nails. So since I want them coffin, this is just going to save me time whenever I start actually shaping, because this is going to be just product that was unnecessary, or it's just product that I would have been filing, but it's basically unnecessary. So we can just go ahead and trim it down. That way we don't have to do that extra filing. And you also don't want to cut too much. Of course, if you want stiletto nails, then you can cut a lot on the sides, but I don't want, you know, like a super narrow coffin. So we're just cutting just a little bit on the sides. Okay, so that's it. So I just trimmed the sides of the nails. So now I'm going to go in with my 100 nail file, and I'm going to go in at a 45-degree angle, filing towards the tip, but making sure that your nail tip is not wider than your actual nail, which is why I always start filing right at my nail groove. So make sure that, again, you file towards your nail tip, because of course you want to make the nail tip a little bit more narrow. So you're putting all of that pressure on the tip. Just going back and forth and just switching from side to side. That way one side is not leaning over more than the other, and your nail won't be crooked. And then for the free edge, just file at exactly a 90-degree angle to make sure that it's like super straight. You could always either file horizontally or vertically, just like that. And a lot of the time I feel like when I file this way, I can get the nails like really straight. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the rest. So again, filing the sides at a 45-degree angle. And then the free edge at a 90-degree angle. Just like that. And then also just blending the nail tip right in the middle. I forgot to do that on this one. So we're just blending the nail tip right in the middle, and that's just gonna make it look more natural whenever we apply the acrylic. So same thing, 45-degree on the sides. Ninety on the free edge. And just blend it right in the middle. Alrighty, so this hand is shaped. As you can see, they look pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. So remember, when I'm doing this one, I kind of just use a combination of me going back and forth with this hand as well as moving my hand back and forth. So whatever works for you is fine, but you will see me switch it up as I go. But it's the same thing. We're following the sides at a 45-degree angle, just going back and forth. And then following the free edge at exactly a 90-degree angle. Alrighty, so I'm done shaping all of the nails. So now I'm just gonna go in with my dust brush and just dust all of my nails off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get my dust collector out of the way, and we're gonna get started. Alrighty, and then up next, of course, we're gonna be using my Mia Secret acrylic system. So I'm using the pink acrylic, and then I'm using my monomer. I would use clear, but I don't want my nails like just super clear. I want there to be a little like hint of pink in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use the Mia Secret pink. And then of course, before we get started, I'm gonna go in and apply the primer, and I'm only applying that on the natural nail. Remember, be sure not to get it on the skin, because if you have any little cuts, it will burn you really, really bad. Alrighty, so we applied the primer. So now we're gonna go in and just start applying the acrylic. So as always, I'm using my Alpha brush in a number 10. You guys know that I love their brushes a lot, and they work really, really good for me. And I do have a promo code for them, so I'll be sure to leave it down in the description. But we're gonna get started. So alrighty, so I put my acrylic, my liquid and my powder right in the middle so you guys can see. But as always, I just dip my brush into the liquid, wipe it off halfway to where it's wet but not soaking wet, it's not dripping, and then I dip it into my powder. And you guys know that I don't like to work with a lot of product at a time, so I'm gonna place that right in the middle of the nail and just pat it down. And when I pat it down, this is basically like spreading the acrylic out, and then I start brushing it down towards the tip. And when I'm brushing down towards the tip, I'm being really gentle because I don't want to just brush all of the acrylic off the nail, because if you brush really hard, you will just like, it's like you place it and then you're taking it off, and that's what you don't want. So make sure that you're really gentle, and you see how I'm holding my brush at an angle. I'm holding it up like at a 45-degree angle when I'm brushing the acrylic down towards the tip. And then also I just wipe the sides of the nails. And I do want to go ahead and mention something. Yesterday someone in, I think on my Instagram, commented under one of my pictures, and she asked, how do I keep the acrylic from getting underneath my nails or even the polish? Well, when I'm doing the acrylic, I'll always wipe the sides of my nails like this. And sometimes if you get acrylic underneath the nail, you will be able to see it through here, like through the top of the nail. So just go in there and kind of just like take it off. So again, if you see acrylic underneath the nail, just go in, turn the finger over, and just take off any of that acrylic that might have got underneath the nail. But do make sure that when you're working, you're wiping the sides of the nails, and that's also going to help with being able to keep your shape when you're working. So next I'm going to go ahead and apply another bead, and this one we're just going to apply right under that first one, and this is just going to help build our thickness at the tip. Again, brushing it down towards the tip, and then also you can go ahead and just blend it up towards the top. Again, just cleaning the sides of the nail and the tip as well. Okay, so now the third bead is going to go closer to the cuticle area. So again, I work with a little bit of product at a time. That way I don't have a lot of filing to do at the end. But I place my bead down, and you see how like with the very tip of my brush, I'm just spreading the acrylic out, and then I brush it down towards the tip. And then I'm just going to go in with the very tip of my brush and just wiping around that cuticle area. Just like that. And then of course my last one, see, it doesn't look too bad. Like we have a nice little apex kind of. So now I'm just going to go in with a small bead and place it right in the middle, like right there. And this is going to just help build a little bit of a better apex. And your apex is like right in the middle of the nail, closer to the cuticle area. And you want this part of your nail to always be thicker than the rest, because this is where your nail gets its strength from. So if I was to bump my nail on something, if my nail was like super thin, then most likely it would break off. But if you have that nice apex, it's going to have strength and it's not going to break as easily. So as you can see, again, we have a pretty good thickness, and then our tip is not too thick or too thin, just how I like it. And then I never have problems with me breaking nails, and if I do, it's because I'm doing something really rough, but they don't just break off, you know, really easily. So again, that was a 4-ball method, and I'm gonna show you again. So same thing, just dip your brush into your liquid, wipe it off halfway because you don't want a huge bead. You pick up a bead, place it right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meet, pat it down, make sure that you're really gentle, and then just brushing it down towards the tip. All right, so we got that first bead. So now we're gonna go in with the second bead right below the first one, patting it down and brushing it down towards the tip. Okay, and as you can see, my tip is still pretty thin, so I'm gonna go in and place another small bead right at the tip. So remember that when you're working, you want to look at the nail from different angles, because if I would have just been looking at it from up here, I wouldn't have noticed it. So make sure that you turn your finger over to the side so you can actually see, you know, what's going on. And if you have any bumps or lumps, if you need to brush a little bit more, or if you need to add a little bit more acrylic somewhere, but you have to be paying attention to what you're doing and not just adding, you know, acrylic everywhere. Alrighty, so now we're gonna apply the bead closer to the cuticle area. So again, you see how I'm working with a little bit of product at a time, placing it closer to the cuticle area and patting it down to where I'm pushing it up towards the cuticle, and then I brush it down towards the tip. So make sure that when you place this bead, you don't just place it right on the cuticle. You just place it really close to it, and then you like pat it down close, like as close as you can to the cuticle area, but to where it's not touching the skin, because if not, of course you will get lifting. Okay, and I need to add another one at the tip because my tip is still kind of thin. So remember, don't just think that you have to stick to a 4-ball method. Of course, you know, if you need to add more, then just go ahead and add it. Don't think like, oh, you know, I already applied my 4 bead, I can't apply more. No, you could always just go in and add more as you need it. Okay, so just like that, as you can see, we have a nice little thickness at the back, and then our tip is not too thin or too thin. I know people like thin nails, I know other people like thick nails, but this is how I like them, like literally not too thick or too thin, like right in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing the same thing on the rest of the nails, and I'll be back. Alrighty, so I'm done applying the acrylic on this hand. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other hand. So again, just dip your brush into the liquid, then dip it into the powder, get a nice size bead. We're gonna go ahead and place it right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meet. And then we're gonna gently brush it down towards the tip. Alrighty, so I'm gonna let my alpha brush soak in a little bit of acetone for just a little bit because I did get some acrylic stuck on it. As you can see, usually you're able to see where it's really shiny, like right there. There's a little bit of acrylic stuck in there. So I'm gonna let it soak because usually when your brush is dirty or like there's kind of like that where there's acrylic stuck into your brush, like whenever you try to apply more acrylic, that product is gonna keep building and building in your brush. So you want to go ahead and just clean it off, or if not, switch brushes while you let that one clean off. And I'm gonna be trying out my Nail Supply Glamour brush in a number 10, and it's actually really pretty. It has that glitter in there and it kind of moves around, and it's just really pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and just basically continue to do the same thing that I was doing and just finish off this set. Alrighty, so we finished the acrylic application and this is what my nails look like. So after we finish, we're gonna go ahead and reshape the nails. So remember that after you apply the acrylic, a lot of the time it may get stuck to like the side of your nail. So what you want to do is basically just get your file and just put it right between the acrylic and your nail groove and just shape the nails or reshape them, because a lot of the time your acrylic might run over to the sides just a little bit, and sometimes it feels uncomfortable and it's like you want to, you know, take it off your skin. So just go in with your file and just file right from the nail groove towards the tip. And then of course just filing the free edge at a 90-degree angle as well to make sure that it's super straight. So same thing for the rest, 45 on the side and then 90-degree on the free edge. Alrighty, so after we finish reshaping the nails, we're gonna go in with a fine drill bit. And actually this is an extra fine drill bit by Macard, and it is a ceramic one, so I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. And the reason why I switched over to ceramic ones from using my gold fine drill bit is just because my carbide one was so sharp that even after using it so many times, it was still really sharp. And then I feel like the ceramic ones are not as sharp. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And as always, whenever we're doing this, we always focus around the cuticle area first, just going back and forth from the right side over to the left side. And what you want to do is basically just keep filing until you're able to see where the cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way you know that the acrylic is not on the skin. And then also just filing the rest of the nail as you go. But make sure that you focus around that cuticle area first, because that's where a lot of your lifting will come from. Okay, so you see on this one, you're able to see where my cuticle is, where my natural nail is just a little bit, and then where the acrylic is. That way we know that I'm not going to get any lifting. And then also the rest of my nail is nice and smooth. And then also a lot of the time, if you do get acrylic underneath your nail, you could always go in with your drill bit and kind of just file it off, but I don't have any. So, but that is something that you can do. So same thing, just filing around the cuticle area, going from the right side over to the left side, just going back and forth. And remember that when you're doing this, you don't want to leave the file in one spot for too long, because it's going to cause friction and it's going to cause your client's nail to burn. And I can tell you from experience that it burns really bad, so make sure that you always keep your drill moving. Alrighty, so we finished filing this hand, so we're going to do the same thing on the other hand. So same thing, just going around the cuticle area. And of course, make sure that when you're doing this hand that you're really careful not to cut yourself. Alrighty, so I am done filing all of the nails. So now I'm going to go in with my buffer and just buff all of the nails. Remember, this is to get rid of any of the scratches left on the nail from the e-file or the hand file. So we want to make sure that they're really, really smooth. And of course, I always go back in and check and make sure that it's smooth. If not, I buff a little bit more. Alrighty, so I finished buffing all of my nails, and then after this I'm just gonna go wash my hands off and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I am back and I've already washed my hands, and for this set I'm gonna keep it fairly simple. This set is actually for my sister's wedding, so I don't want any color on them because I don't know that a color would go with my dress. So I'm just gonna be doing some bling, and it's not gonna be a lot. It's gonna be some right in the middle of each nail, and I think I'm pretty much gonna do the same design for each nail. So of course I'm gonna be using my Mia Secret Draw Resin, my wax pencil, my SS6, and my SS12. So I'm gonna see what I end up doing. Let's see. So I applied the glue. I'm gonna go in with an SS6, or sorry, 12, and then the SS6 on the sides. Alright, so I'm thinking of doing just that on all of the nails, and I think I'll be good. And of course it'll have to be something a little bit different on the pinky because I don't think that's gonna fit. But what I did was I just picked up a SS12, placed it right in the middle of the nail, and as you can see I'm covering up my natural nail. You guys know that I hate to see my natural nail through the acrylic, so I'm trying to cover it up as much as I can. Okay. Alrighty, so I just did the same thing on all of them, and I think that's really cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. Alrighty, so I finished applying all of the bling. So now I'm just going to spray them with the activator, and this is going to help that glue dry a lot faster. Alrighty, so after that, I'm going to go in with my IBD gel top coat, and it looks like this. And I get this one from Amazon, so I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. And when I apply the top coat, I'm going to apply it right around the bling. Alrighty, so once I've applied the top coat on all of my nails, I'm gonna go ahead and place it under the light for 60 seconds, and I am using my Body UV LED lamp. Alrighty, so I cured this one, so now we're gonna do the same thing on the other hand. So again, I'm using the IBD gel top coat, and I'm just applying it on all of the nails, making sure that I go around the bling. Alrighty, y'all, so here is the final look. They turned out really pretty. It's not too much, and I love that I have that clear look. I think it's been a really long time since I did something like this. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GetNailed32, and I'll see you guys next time.